This is part 2 of That Dirty Rose, the au pair who came over and got pregnant by OP's husband. If you want to watch the first part, you can find it in the description below. Here is part 2. Google the word clown, and you'll see my face right next to it. I don't know who I was fooling, but clearly I'm the one being fooled here. How in the world does my husband sleep with a woman right under my nose and I don't even notice? Also, how have I been married to him for such a long time and I never suspected him of cheating? And why did I let him back in my house? Yes, Rose and Johan came back to live at my house. I did not forgive both of them by any means, but I had to think about my reputation once the heat died down. They lived with his mother for over a week while his parents tried to get me to talk to them. I was so upset that I didn't want to hear anything from any of them. I was sure that his parents somehow knew about this, and I had just been the laughingstock of the family. But despite feeling that, I knew that I could not just leave it at that. The kids were starting to ask about Rose, and I didn't know what to tell them since she doesn't live with us anymore. I had nothing to tell them. Every time they mentioned their father or Rose, I felt like crying. I'm hurt so much. The people I trusted so much hurt me like this. So when his parents reached out once again and told me that we need to talk about it, I decided to just go. Well, if my husband and I were going to be separate, I wasn't ready for it, to be honest. I know I should have been the first person to file for divorce, but we have so much to lose. So much more than Rose could understand. Something like this would ruin the both of us, our family, our reputation. I understood that when my mom and dad-in-law explained to me, they do have our best interest at heart in this matter. When I went there, my father-in-law told me that I did not have to speak to my husband. She was the one who wanted to speak to me. So she made me some coffee for us and we went to sit in her room. I saw Rose and she gave me a dirty look, as if I was intruding in my mother-in-law's house. How insane is that? My mother-in-law told me something else that I did not know, which made the situation even worse for me. She apologized to me for keeping this from me, but when it happened, she wanted her son to stop because I was pregnant. 3 years ago, when I was carrying my third, my husband went on to a lot of business trips overseas, and when he was there, he met with Rose. They've had an affair going that they've been keeping up for a while whenever he would visit her country. My mother-in-law found out and told him to stop it, but instead he brought Rose to live with us. The affair continued right under my nose. My mother-in-law did not know that Rose was the woman he had been seeing outside of our marriage. She only found out that she was the one when I kicked them out, and they ended up at her house. I didn't feel anything when she told me that. I asked to speak to Rose instead. Well, I spoke with Rose, and she told me that it was the case. But she told me that she could not just leave the country or take care of the kid herself because she has a family back home. She said that all she had done to survive. When he allowed her to come and stay as an au pair, she thought it was better because at least she was able to make some money for herself and take care of her family. She told me that what she did to me was crappy, but she really did love working for my family. But now, with this child that she's carrying, I had the chance to send her back and she would suffer. So I asked her, what did she want, and she did not hold back on the demands. She told me that if we did not hold our end of the bargain, she could and would ruin our reputation. So, we called Johan so that she could make her demands and everyone would be transparent about the situation. She said that she would carry the baby to term, give us the baby and leave on the condition that we would take care of all her expenses, and give her money to start over elsewhere. We would not have to see her ever again, so I agreed. I could take care of the child as long as she would be out of our lives for good. My husband and I spoke about this privately and have decided that we will stay together and raise her child once she leaves. Their relationship is done, and if I even suspected or have a feeling that they ever date again, I'll leave this man. I'll divorce him and make sure that I leave him with nothing. So, we agreed on the terms, so now we're back to living together. He's still in the doghouse, and I'll not let him back into my bedroom so easily, but I refuse to let this be the end of my marriage. He's made a mistake and apologized for it, so now we need to have each other's back. I know most people would tell me to leave, and maybe I am the fool for believing him, but it's either that or divorcing and facing total humiliation, and that option's not looking attractive right now. What's up everybody, Mr. Reddito here. I hope you're enjoying part 2 of this wild story. There's another update for it that came out 4 months after the original post of Update 1. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more daily videos, and let's jump into the update 4 months later. Hey guys, I've managed to get some time to myself for the first time in ages. I sent everyone away for the day at the theme park. At least the madam felt sorry for me this time, and she went to the theme park, allowing me to have a day off. Ever since she came back to stay with us, I've had to wait on her every second that I'm not at work. She's become very lazy, and even though I am still paying her, she acts as if she's the one who's paying me. I don't want her to run away with the baby, so I have to go along with it, but I will tell you that this is torture. I have to run her bath, I have to cook for her, I have to clean her room, and I have to drive her to appointments. As for my husband, she doesn't have ask anything of him. In fact, she has been very rude to him throughout this pregnancy. Anything he does is not right in her eyes. I'm sure that today there's going to be World War II between those two, and I don't know why she doesn't like him, but that is good news for me. The baby's healthy and growing every day. I just have to do this for some more months. Update 2 months later. I didn't sleep at all last night. We were at the hospital because she's sick. There's some complications with the pregnancy now. Mostly stress-related. Things have been tense in the household. We've been bonding with the baby, all of us. Those little moments are beautiful, and my husband's been trying to get in my good books, and he has been taking me out, doing most of the errands for me, etc. The only thing is that I and her are absolutely not getting along. She's too demanding, and I'm tired of it. My husband has called her out on it several times, and when he did, she gave him my number, to who her mom proceeded to shout at me and tell me that I am the reason all this happened. Her mom told that my husband was supposed to marry Rose since he made her pregnant, and that they were just taking advantage of her. I ended up blocking her number because she was speaking utter rubbish. Her daughter is the one who decided to have an affair with my husband, and now she is upset. Another thing that I don't get is that Rose decided to post on social media, pretending that she was married to my husband, right? Her family has to have seen it and assumed that she really was married to him. Instead of telling her to come back home, they let her continue. That wasn't the end of it. Afterwards, I got into it with her for giving her mom my number and making her harass me. I spoke some choice words to her that I should probably not have said, but I was seriously upset. And then, the one person who's the reason we are in this mess, my dearest husband, tried to get us to calm down. Can you believe it? I fought with him too, and then Rose experienced some mild pain at that very moment. All the fighting ceased to stop, and the panic started. We managed to get her to the hospital on time, and we were told that there were some complications, resulting in her blood pressure being through the roof. Johan blamed me and told me that if anything happened to them, it would be my fault. Maybe he's right, and it is my fault. I'm just worried about her and the baby. Her condition is still the same as last night. There's no good or bad news, which feels like bad news for me. Update: she gave birth. Guys, Rose has given birth to a baby girl, and my husband was not there to see it. Work's been hectic for him, and he's been out of the country for the past week. Luckily, she managed to call me when her water broke, and I got someone to take her to the hospital while I finished up work, picked up the kids, and dropped them off at their grandparents'. Hours went by as she was in labor, and I was not able to be by her side. But when she finally gave birth, they let me see both her and the baby. I could immediately tell that something was wrong with her. Her face had lost all color, and there was no strength in her body from what I could tell. I held the little one for a minute or so, and I swear I fell in love. That baby has become the apple of my eye. I can tell you that right now, and she has a steady heartbeat, and everything's perfectly okay with her from what we could tell. While I was holding her, Rose told me to take care of her and make sure that she had a better life than her birth mother had. I promised I would, not keeping it much to my mind because I was focused on her, and we officially signed the adoption papers, and I let my husband know that his baby had been delivered, and he was over the moon. But now, I'm starting to dread that phone call, because 30 minutes ago Rose passed away from complications in her pregnancy. I won't lie, I am heartbroken. She didn't deserve to die. She had so much that she wanted to do, and even though we fought like cats and dogs, it doesn't mean that I wanted her out of the picture forever. Her last words were literally that I should take care of a baby, and I plan to. I've been given all of Rose's things, so now I must make the difficult calls letting people know that she didn't make it. It won't be easy. I'm dreading it with my whole being, and I wish I had been nicer to her and more considerate. It was my husband who lied and brought her into my life, but I feel like a hypocrite for blaming mostly her. But now, I have to make the calls. I wish for strength. Update. Final update. 4 months later. Well, guys, I did it. I made the phone calls to Rose's family and let them know what was happening, and assured them that I would get her home safely. They didn't ask about the child. All they wanted to know was when I was going to pay them her money. I was a bit taken aback that they seemed more concerned about the money than the person who's no longer alive. It is a pity that I realized that we have so much in common by having unsupportive family members who don't care about our well-being. At another time, we would have been friends. I didn't tell my husband the news until he got back home and saw me with the baby, but Rose nowhere to be found. He was confused and asked me why I had the baby and why Rose wasn't answering her phone. Well, before I could reply, he got a call from work and he had to answer it. I checked her phone, and indeed there were texts from him, but not what I expected. He was telling her to get ready and make sure no one saw her while she was sneaking out of the hospital with the baby. He promised that they would have a great life far away from me. I read through the rest of the chat as quickly as they could that they exchanged messages for the past year. They were still very much in love, wanting to ditch me once she gave birth. I closed the chat and waited for his call to end. When he came back, I broke the news to him. I've never seen my husband cry in this manner. It was heart-wrenching, to be honest with you, that he'd really lost the woman that he truly loved. He was in denial over it. He locked himself in our bedroom and refused to come out or let me comfort him. My heart did hurt, though, that he loved her and planned to do this to me. But I had to put my feelings aside right now and try to comfort him. He didn't believe I was telling the truth until he saw her. He was the shell of the man he used to be, and he would not even let me touch him. When he spoke, he did not deny their plan. He told me that he wanted to go get married to her in her country and divorce me because he loved her more than he ever loved me. He told me that his feelings for me died many years ago, but he stayed with me because he felt sorry for me since my parents aren't even in my life. I told him he didn't have to feel sorry for me any longer. I had my kids. Those were my family. I set him free and kicked him out of my house. His family tried to fight for our marriage, but when two people don't want to be together, they cannot be together. I got the house. I got sole custody of the kids. He can see them on the weekends and when I permit him to come over. As for Esme, the little one, he got sole custody of her, and since I have no relation to her, he is hers. She's being taken care of by his mom, who hates my guts. She feels that I should have forgiven him, stayed married to him, and raised a child with him, not kicked him down when he was hurt. What about me? Say, I forgive this man, thinking what he's done with her. Instead, he was planning to leave me high and dry and break my heart once again. I should have left him months ago. The red flags were there, but I was too concerned about my reputation. Well, all that's done. It's time to focus on me and my kids and my own life. I'm choosing self-care. I know that everyone knows what happened and they're laughing at me behind my back, but that is just what people are like. Next week they'll be going on about something else. I have to do a lot of healing because the past year has been absolutely brutal. So this story is just an all-around sad story. Yeah, Rose did a lot of bad things, and well, she slept with OP's husband, which resulted in a pregnancy. But at the end of the day, she did not deserve to die. Guys, I want to hear your thoughts about this part 2. Go ahead and put your opinions in the comment section and let me know. If you were in OP's position, how would you go about handling the news of Rose and, well, having to break it to almost everybody? Drop your opinions down below. Thank you for joining me on this 2-part story. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, you might want to subscribe. Catch you guys later.